What's up, guys? It's MP Boxing, and today I'm finally going to be listing my fighter of the year for 2021 in boxing. And I know that many people were posting this video for their fighter of the year, etc., back in like late December or sometime in January, but I just had a lot with school and sports. But finally, I'm now able to post it. And just to get straight into the video, I'm just going to be listing 5 fighters who I think should have been fighter of the year, and one of them is obviously my pick, for my personal opinion, with some reasoning behind it as well. Yeah, just to get straight into it with no particular order, and this is not listing like who's most credible to be fighter of the year to like who's least credible. Just at the top of the list, I'll just put my fighter of the year, and then as followed, I'll just have just the other four who I think definitely were credible to be fighter of the year, and that's in no particular order, as I mentioned before. So starting out, we have George Kambosos Jr. He is the unified WBA, WBO, and IBF, as well as the WBC franchise lightweight champion. So I'm really putting him on this list because in 2021 he had a huge upset split decision victory over Teofimo Lopez, and that was a fight that many people, myself included, thought he wasn't going to win. But he proved that he's a very well-established fighter by boxing beautifully on the outside, scoring a knockdown, and looking very well-rounded throughout the fight, showing that he has some swift, fast power, great counterpunching ability, and that he's overall just a very good fighter. And I know that he doesn't really have any other wins in 2021, but still, it's a very big one, if that, and he became a unified world champion. And going up more on the list, another name is definitely Nonito Donaire. Nonito Donaire is a very good fighter, and he holds a record of 42 wins, 6 defeats, and 28 wins coming by way of knockout. And to go back to my first honorable mention, that is George Kambosos Jr., he does hold a record of 20 wins, no defeats, with 10 wins coming by way of knockout. But more into Nonito Donaire, he is the current WBC bantamweight world champion. He's also won titles in other weight classes as well. And I know that he's aging, and I believe he's like 38 or 39 years old, but still he keeps coming. And he had an excellent 2021 where he won the WBC bantamweight world title, and it was an upset as he knocked out Nordine Oubaali, who was the champion at the time, and Oubaali was also undefeated. So it was a very nice win, and as I mentioned before, he was an underdog. He was like a 3-1 underdog, and he came out on top and absolutely brutally knocked out Oubaali, scoring multiple knockdowns and just finishing the fight in like 4 rounds. It was a very good display of his power, and I actually thought that Oubaali was going to win that fight and outbox Donaire and get a close decision. But Donaire proved me wrong and absolutely obliterated Oubaali and showed why he is one of the top bantamweights in the world. But then later on in 2021, late in December, Donaire took on interim champion Raymar Gaballo, because at the time Gaballo was the interim champ, and then he stopped him in a couple of rounds with a brutal body shot. So that's another solid victory over a top guy in the bantamweight division. So he has 2 very solid victories, was able to win a world title, and just further proved why he is one of the top guys to mess with in 118 pounds. And then moving up, I also have Josh Taylor as an honorable mention. He had a very good year, and he's also a fighter who also had 1 win in 2021, and his record stands currently at 18 wins, no defeats, with 13 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the current undisputed super lightweight world champion. He had a very nice unanimous decision victory over Jose Carlos Ramirez. Ramirez came into the fight with 2 belts. Taylor came into the fight with 2 belts. It was an undisputed clash of undefeated unified champions. That's just an amazing fight on paper. If that, Taylor was able to score 2 knockdowns, looked very solid, looked very fast, powerful, composed, and proved why he is the top guy at 140. He also has some other good wins, but in 2021, that was obviously the one victory that gets him on this list. And the fact that he really became an undisputed champion and was able to be the champ at 140. And then now moving up, another, and my last honorable mention is Alexander Usyk. Usyk is a tremendous fighter, and he has a lot of credentials to put him in a list on like top 10, top 5 pound for pound because of his gold medals, because of his other titles at other weights. But no, this year he became unified, or in 2021, I should say, he became unified heavyweight world champion, getting the unanimous decision victory over Anthony Joshua. I thought that Joshua was going to win that fight, and yeah, Joshua was the favorite, I believe so. And yeah, Usyk was able to tame him. It looked almost like a David versus Goliath. Alexander Usyk being the natural 200-pounder, moving up in weight, weighing in at like 220, to Joshua's muscle-cladded 245 pounds. And yeah, I mean, Usyk was able to outbox Joshua. I thought he won very clear, and I think the judges were actually generous in giving Joshua 5 rounds. I thought at most Joshua won 3. Usyk proved that he's a very tremendous, well-skilled boxer. Showed his jab was tremendous. Showed he also had some very nice powers, as he was able to hurt Joshua a couple times, and he just looked tremendous. And now he's the current unified WBO, WBA, and IBF heavyweight world champion, and he's also a former undisputed cruiserweight champion, but that was back in 2018, through late, obviously, 2018 when he knocked out Tony Bellew. But this is really on his 2021 achievements, and that is that he's on this list because of his win over Anthony Joshua and the fact that he was able to become a unified heavyweight world champion. And now to list my fighter of the year for 2021. As most people have it, it is Canelo Alvarez. I mean, how could you not have him as your fighter of the year? He had a tremendous year. And I know back earlier in 2021, he had that win over Avni Yildirim. That's not really why he's on this list, although that was a win that he did have in 2021. And Yildirim is a guy that a lot of top 25 fighters, top 20 fighters have trouble with. For example, like Jack Cullen. But no, I mean, Canelo Alvarez was able to absolutely obliterate him in a couple of rounds, knocking him out, just proving that that there is levels to this game and that he is the top guy as well. And he holds a record of 57 wins, 1 defeat, and 2 draws with 39 wins coming by way of knockout. And yeah, he also got 2 really excellent wins over 2 top guys at 168, being Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant, and he was able to finish both of them. Billy Joe Saunders, it was a very competitive fight, but Canelo, I thought, was edging it with his pressure fighting. Billy Joe Saunders was trying to box on the outside, but Canelo did not let that happen and was able to hurt Billy Joe Saunders in the 8th round, I believe it was, and actually like fractured his orbital bone, I believe so, and it caused a huge swollen eye / cheek area of Billy Joe Saunders. Saunders then quit in his corner, and Canelo got the knockout victory. And going into 2021, Canelo Alvarez was the unified WBC and WBA champion from his victory over Callum Smith in 2020. So he defended it against Yildirim, then won the WBO against Billy Joe Saunders. Then in November of 2021, he took on Caleb Plant. And then, as most of you guys know if you watched that fight, I thought Canelo Alvarez was easily controlling that fight. I thought at most Caleb Plant won like 3 rounds. But yeah, Canelo Alvarez was able to stop Caleb Plant in the 11th round, scoring 2 knockdowns in total. And yeah, he was able to become a undisputed world champion, considering that Caleb Plant was the IBF super middleweight title holder, meaning that Canelo Alvarez currently holds all 4 belts and is the undisputed world champion. And the thing is, Billy Joe Saunders was undefeated at 30-0, which is pretty hard to get considering if you're fighting some of the top guys, like top 15, top 10 guys in the world. And Caleb Plant had a record of 20-0, or 21-0, I should say. And yeah, Canelo Alvarez was able to stop both of them, proving that he is one of the best fighters in the world, and getting 2 strong victories over 2 top 5 fighters at 168 pounds. And he was able to become an undisputed champion, which further proves that he should be fighter of the year. And comment down below who you have in your list, like for honorable mentions, or your fighter of the year. As you just listened, that is mine, and I have Canelo Alvarez, obviously, as my fighter of the year. And some honorable mentions are Alexander Usyk, Josh Taylor, Nonito Donaire, George Kambosos Jr., and yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.